Good evening. Hey, Chris. Hey, what are you doing?
I'm just hanging out, waiting for the show tonight. You and I've chatted all day. We got some awesome stuff coming up. Got some great conversation pieces, and we should get everybody just wound up chatting away on this because there's been a lot going on this week just in my town.
It has been absolutely busy. We've got some super cool things in the works in the background. We got two of them coming to fruition tonight that we're going to share with the lovely folks across this province of Alberta. Chris, where are you coming live from?
I'm up in Ponoka, Central Alberta.
Ponoka, Alberta, and myself, Calgary, Alberta. We are the Alberta Landlord Shoptalk show. Still getting used to the new mic and boom, but my name is Mackenzie. Alongside me, my partner in crime, Chris Noble. Absolutely stacked to be here. The only show dedicated to Alberta landlords, the Alberta Landlord Shoptalk show. So I'm going to figure out my positioning of talking. I don't know if I need to talk this way or that way. I'm trying to still working this whole mic thing. But tonight's super cool. Like Chris said, we have a ton of cool stuff happening. Some side news. Chris, you have an update on your Ponoka eviction. You're going to talk about that later, right?
Absolutely.
Very cool. On a side note, in my world, I just filled my last vacancy in Bowness here in Calgary. So I am 100%. No vacancies right now, completely filled. So pretty excited about that. Right off the hop, let's give a quick thank you to our sponsors. We have our first sponsor right now, our only major sponsor, is the Greenleaf Property Management Group and Redline Real Estate. They are both a realtor brokerage and property management company here in Calgary. Brett Turner has been out with us. He's the co-founder. He's given us some market updates plus some property management tips along the way. Watch for those shows about once or twice a month right now. And yeah, other than that, another little win, Chris. This happened in the last 15 minutes before the show. Our YouTube account just hit 101 subscribers. I'm absolutely stoked.
101, just like 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah, we're Disney special.
Yeah, Disney's here. You moved to Disney status. That's right. That's cool.
Yeah. So super cool. And then I'll dive a little bit at the end of the show. But coming this Friday, we're launching our first course that we've been working on, busy in the background. It's a Alberta-based landlord fundamentals or essentials course. It's going to give you the groundwork to get yourself up and running if you're a new landlord. And maybe if some of you guys are experienced out there, this just lays a really solid foundation to set yourself up for success, how to save time on tenant screening, do it thoroughly. And actually, our guest speaker tonight, the director of sales over at Naborly, Luc Chase, is going to be a really value add or a complementary conversation to this landlord course that we're coming out with, because he's going to go through what they provide, which is, I believe, one of the best products in the marketplace. We got the other group, which is Single Key. I think these are the two top dogs out there for getting really a great credit score and giving you the insight you need to know to make an informed decision when you're selecting your tenants. So we'll get Luke on here in just a moment, and we'll get him talking to go over what they've got. I'm super excited to announce that partnership with you guys as well. Actually, that's kind of really it. We'll talk about that course. It's going to come announcement on Friday, what that's all about. It's going to be I'm still finalizing some of the details, but it's between a 4 and 6 week course, 1 hour sessions each week, plus support hours is 2 office hours. So lots of good value, all the information coming out Friday. All right, Chris. Nice. Well, let's get Luke on the show and start this conversation. We're 4 minutes in and then Chris is running our chat too. So if you guys are here, say where you guys are tuning in from. Right across Alberta, and we'll have some fun tonight and learn a lot as I clicked on myself. Here we go. Luc Chase, good evening, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be here. Very grateful to have a chance to speak to the very engaged audience of Alberta landlords here.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. We're so excited to have you here. Our conversation has been going on for a little while in the background, and finally we're happy at the point now we can kind of get you guys here. We got an exclusive deal with you guys. We're really excited to share, which will come out later in the show. But what we got going first is we're going to talk about what you guys do. You do have a really detailed credit score report called Naborly Insights, and I'd love you to walk us through it. I'll ask some questions, and we'll kind of get into how to actually sign up and use your guys' service a little bit later on.
Awesome. Well, I won't waste any time. I want to kind of focus on what is the magic moment of signing up with Naborly, that's viewing your first Naborly report. So we have a sample here.
Luc, can I just interrupt a sec? I think this is very important. We chatted pre-show, and you know what? I'm going to lighten this mode up here so everybody's having some fun. Luc, tell me where you are. Say the words. Where are you, buddy?
So I'm coming from San Francisco here. It's beautiful. I don't mean to brag about the weather, but it is very nice. I just want you all to know that my heart's here, though. No drama. That's when I was back home. So I hate to piss off the Edmonton Oilers fans, but that's from Bragg Creek, Alberta. So I'm happy to be talking to all these Albertans here. Being
an Alberta boy, are you?
Yeah, that's right.
And your favorite golf course? Put it out there.
Okay, yes, we did talk about that too. So Wolf Creek in Pinoka, Alberta. I made that connection quickly with Chris, and that was just a lovely course and experience there.
Awesome. Okay, so now you've escaped your American halo that you have, and now you're truly Canadian based here, and we can take your word as gospel now.
That's exactly right. I'm trying to keep some of the main Canadian accents here, so I always get called out here, but I'm sure you guys won't even recognize it different.
Good. Just throw an A in once in a while with a toboggan and a toque, and you're good to go, buddy.
All right, so we're going to go through the process eventually with what Naborly is. We're going to start with the sample report. I'm very excited to do that. I want Mackenzie and Chris to jump in with any questions about the report. But simply, I'm just going to go through how you read it, because there's not a lot of literature or marketing out there on that, and that tends to be some of the biggest questions. So I think it's really important for you guys to see that. So I can just share my screen here, guys.
Yeah, get that spooled up, and I'll get you added in right now. So
perfect. You let me know what you can see there. So
we do see the top of your Naborly score.
Okay, so I can hear you. You guys can hear me, and you can see my screen. So this is the format that you're going to see of the Naborly report when you do create an account. This is something that you can file, keep on hand. But again, being this the first time you've seen a Naborly report, let's say the first thing that's going to attract your attention is that Naborly score. Now, that is a 3-digit score. It is similar to the credit score that you may be more familiar with, but this is our own proprietary number based between 400 and 900, 900 being the highest score you're going to get on a Naborly report. And so here you can see the fairly average score. But what's important about this is this number is built upon all the metrics and pieces of information that you're going to see below. And I'm going to run through that quickly here.
Perfect.
So first thing I look at when I'm looking at a Naborly report is the verification status is on the left. So we have ID verification. This is very important. Without an ID verification, we're actually not going to be able to pull the credit. So there's going to be missing information. And of course, it's very important that you verify the ID of your potential candidates. So this is going to reduce the Naborly score if that is left unverified. Employment verification, income verification. Again, very important metrics in terms of deciding if this person is suitable for living in the property. So we're going to see that if that isn't green and verified, we're going to see that outcome on that Naborly score, the Naborly report. We have a credit status check verification. It's either going to be verified or not cleared or unavailable. What it means when it's verified, it means that you're going to see a fairly clean credit report. You're going to have to scroll down to see that, but you can expect there not to be any issues there. Not cleared is going to lead you to understand that there's probably a collections, a bankruptcy, or a lien on the credit report. Something for you to further investigate. It may not be a substantial risk, but it is going to be something you want to check up on. The only other case is not everyone's credited. They may be credit invisible, meaning they're from a different country, they're very young, and they haven't had the opportunity to build their credit, which also just is another testament to why it's important to go beyond just the credit file and implement something what Naborly has done in terms of looking at all the data that is out there or available through the rental application, through the databases, to understand what is the overall suitability of this tenant, not solely focusing on that credit score. So that would be step one. The next thing you'd want to look at is our proprietary tenancy outcomes. You're going to see 6 different categories here: late rent payments, property damage, eviction, early vacancy, successful term, and length of tenancy. Again, there's going to be information within the application, within the key risk section, that will determine or at least point you as to why some of these metrics are high or low risk. But what we're doing here is we're using lookalike modeling as well as traditional rules of thumb that would be used when reviewing a rental application to understand if this tenant's suitability. When I say lookalike modeling, I'm talking about the fact that Naborly looks at many applications on a given year, day, month. We're going to understand what a successful tenancy looks like and what an unsuccessful tenancy looks like. So we're comparing the tenant to the property, looking at the cost of rent, their income, and how that impacts these different metrics. Some other things we will look at is proximity to work to see if that's a suitable situation for the tenant. And it goes forth on that way. Did you guys have any questions of tenancy outcomes yet?
Yeah. I'll just kind of add on this. So I've definitely used your guys' service in the past, and I had this always became kind of an unknown area, this tenancy outcome portion of your report. So I didn't really know what to do with the information because I didn't understand how you guys derived or came to what this information or how are these results. So if I didn't really understand where these results came from, I had a hard time actually accepting or using them. So I typically just ignored them. So it's actually pretty good, Luc, that we have you here. We can kind of dive into the details. And I know we talked about this off camera when we were prepping for the show. A lot of this is kind of, maybe another way to explain it is that talking like kind of big data, where you're taking a massive amount of data based on demographics, property types, and you're seeing the results. You're trying to take pull trends of those data to give you at least an educated guess of what could be an outcome for this tenant on your property.
Yeah, so I'd say it kind of follows 2 steps. There's the traditional rules or logical steps that you would use when looking at an application. So our insight, our algorithm, what it does is it reviews the application, looks at factors that are going to be positive or negative on these different metrics. And then the benefit of doing this so often and reviewing thousands of applications in a month is that we're able to continue to adapt that model to better suit the actual risk as it changes in the future and different macro factors are introduced into the market. So one really great example right now is income and employment stability and how that's going to impact a tenant's ability to pay rent. Now, this is non-discriminatory to any sort of income, but some incomes are more stable than others. And I think we can kind of touch on some that have been impacted and are in a little bit of a risky situation in terms of, is this tenant going to be able to go to work and pay their rent, and what it's going to look like if they weren't. So that is a risk factor we can look at.
Okay.
So going through the application, we got our secondary analysis. I just did talk about employment and income stability, and that's somewhere where our outcomes are going to change and evolve as time goes on. Primarily, I think the real nice things that we do here is we look at the financial analysis. We're able to quickly calculate and just provide you the hard numbers on their rent income ratio, their debt income ratio, and an overall cash flow analysis you'll see here. Now, what's interesting about these numbers, again, is we're not here benchmarking a rent income ratio at 30% and saying anyone below that is a great tenant and anyone above that is not. We're able to adapt this number to a tenant-specific situation. So an example I'd use here is a tenant who lives across the street from their office, has only one mouth to feed, and doesn't own a vehicle, can probably have a 45% rent income ratio. And that's the type of thing that you'll see in these metropolitan areas, Toronto and Vancouver, where they're not, commuting. They don't have these different budget items that other individuals may.
Right.
Now, someone who has 5 dependents, a couple loans on different trucks, maybe whatever that may be, is going to see a different impact on that. And that's why the overall cash flow analysis becomes an even more important factor than just simply the rent or the debt on its own.
That's great. Awesome. So I mean, just to kind of recap, not only when you guys do look at the rent to income ratio, but you're not basing the analysis completely on that one variable or that one small number. You're looking at other factors that would affect their monthly budget. You know, do they walk to work? Do they drive? Do they have a vehicle payment? All these other things that at the end of the day will affect how much money they have left over to put towards rent.
Yeah, and as specific as the cost of living in a specific area and how that changes in different cycles of the economy.
Perfect.
So this is, as I said, is the magic moment where you see your first neighborly report and you're getting some objective sense of this tenant suitability. And really here just hammering home how a credit score is important, is valuable, it is part of our business, and we are going to offer that to you, but it's not always correlated with the tenancy's suitability. So you see that this 588 score is one red, and obviously, as we know, a little lower than we'd like it to be. That doesn't mean this tenant necessarily is being rated as a bad tenant. This could be something that is actually a good tenant who has the opportunity to rebuild and kind of address some of those maybe historical issues they've faced.
Yeah. So just a kind of take on the credit score. So I think we were talking about this off cam. You're saying like the kind of rough statistic is about 2/3 of Canadians that rent actually have a credit score under 600.
Yeah, that's right. So if you look at those who traditionally rent, those between 18 and 35 years old, about 66% of those people have a sub 600 score, sub 700 score, which again, a lot of people are benchmarking that 700 as the primary and the score that should be met. So, if that's your main metric, you're saying no to a good chunk of the market.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And the other thing too, I kind of want to highlight maybe what's a little bit different so people can understand this tenancy outcome section is you're taking the approach of like an actuator in the insurance industry, where no one has a crystal ball on if a tenant's going to be great or not, because you can't predict humans and know exactly what we're going to do in the future. But you're trying to derive based on probability the best possible outcome, what it likely might be, and provide that viewpoint. Your educated guess, if you will.
Yeah, I love that analogy. I mean, I don't mean to be morbid here, but when you go do a life insurance application, they're going to ask you some very important questions. How old are you? Do you smoke? And different things like that. How many speeding tickets you might have. Those are all going to impact your overall rating. Unfortunately, for the insurance companies, they don't know. They're using that as a measure of what the outstanding risk is, but they can't truly predict. So although we're going to be able to give you this assessment of the suitability of the tenant, we can't 1,000% predict if the tenant might lose their job the day after they move in. No less can an insurance company predict if someone's going to get hit by a bus tomorrow. So again, this is meant to help you make better decisions, but of course, by no means is a crystal ball. Perfect.
Cool. Well, let's continue on then.
So you do get the credit powered by Equifax. So this information is coming directly from Equifax. As I said, this is part of our business and is going to be included in the report. So here you read, we've just basically changed the UI on an Equifax report to make it a little easier to read. So you're going to be able to verify their address, their employer. Again, you'll see from above on the top page of the report that this has already been done. But you can go ahead and cross-reference that here. In addition to that, you're going to see their debt situation, if they have any bankruptcy, judgments, collections, liens. Again, there would have been an indication on that first page that there is something on the report here.
And Luc, I'll pull you up to the top of this page too, because there's some good information. So like you said, all those that left-hand column where it says verified, that you've done that cross-check. But I mean, I think just as really good practice. And if you're new to being a landlord, this is a really, really great way to cross-reference multiple data points. Because at the end of the day, you want to know if you're getting a true story or not from the tenant who's applying for your property. You want to know if their previous addresses are accurate, is that where they actually lived in the past. So you're basically taking a trusted third-party source, which in this case is Equifax, and looking at these recorded addresses, and they should actually match the previous address that they've rented at. And if you're seeing those cross references come through, then you've got really good confirmations that the story or the application you get from your tenant is in fact true. And then I know you mentioned this too, Luke. Looking at the credit inquiries underneath that section there, you've got the total number of inquiries, and then you've got some within the last 12 months and 36 months. Why is that part important?
Yeah, so this can be a little confusing at first, but we have our total inquiries. That's 7. Number of foreign inquiries, okay, we're 0 there. In 12 months, there's been 3 inquiries. With last 36, there's been 7. So that's just the total, including those 3. But what's important here is this tenant doing anything very recently that could mean that they're, chasing debt because they are in a little bit of a dicey credit situation. So it is important to see that. It doesn't, again, determine if this person is doing what I would call dicey or trying to figure out and make things work in an unfortunate situation. But it brings up the opportunity to ask that question. Hey, I noticed you had 3 inquiries in the last 12 months. And I just like to ask the question about why that might be, just to get a little clearer picture on what exactly is going on there.
Yeah, and I'll just add on that, Luke. So, I mean, if you see like a dozen inquiries over the last 12 months or 20 or something like that would probably be a bit of a red flag. They're a little bit credit hungry. They're looking for money because they might be in a bind. But probably more so if you don't see a lot of activity here, they're not shopping for credit, and they're probably likely in a strong financial position. So it's just, again, don't use it by itself. It's just another little layer of information you can add to the full picture to get a really clear outcome of what this person's financial situation is like. So I guess, yeah, Luke, kind of continue on. We can kind of dive into that more.
Yeah, thank you so much. So kind of wrapping up the debt or the Equifax report, we got our debt summary. So you're just going to quickly see where their debt lies, so what type of accounts they have, and obviously each one should be treated a little different. Student loans and auto loans, mortgage, they all have a different story behind them. And even so, they have probably even further and more detailed story behind them. But in this case, we see the revolving credit. You will see if there is any late debt payments on these over here. So those are all going to be categorized, and again, something to definitely focus on. And as I said, it's always a really good component to start a conversation, more or less, than to make a final determination on who this person is.
Yeah, definitely. And probably the very telling information on this part of the report is the 30, 60, and 90-day buckets. If you're seeing, and like in this case, this is good to see. You see zeros across the board. They're not having any financial trouble. And I always tell my tenants too when they apply, says, like, by no means do I need perfect credit. I just need the ability for you to show me that you can pay your rent on time. That's essentially what I'm looking for, that you can pay your bills. So if you're starting to see ticks going up in the 30 and the 60 and the 9, it might be like, 2 late payments, then there's 3 and 5. They may have, one or two things could have happened here. One, they could have had a life event, right? Maybe a divorce, a job loss, something they're dealing with that is kind of out of their control that's eventually hit and affected their credit. Or maybe this is indicative of someone with very poor financial habits and they just simply can't manage the bills. And you'll probably see that more so too, because you do have these note sections down at the bottom there, Luke, you're saying as well, under the credit risk notes.
Yeah, definitely check those out. I think, just in talking about that specific debt, it reminded me of something that we had talked about earlier that is quite important, which again is just I think a testimony to not just focus on certain variables that someone has told you to be important, but look at it holistically. And that's the percentage of credit used, which isn't a great thing for this person's credit score, for this to show up, but it really isn't that crazy either. Someone who has a $1,000 credit limit is going to find themselves in situations where they just spent $700 on something and they're going to repay that. But when this report gets generated, if that's a 72% credit used, a lot of people would be frightened by that number. Just because of the size of the actual debt, this isn't frightening to me by any means, and it doesn't impact their neighborly score in a very adverse way either.
Yeah, great point, Luke. So basically, in this case, not a big deal because it's only $1,000, but just to highlight what I think you're trying to say, on the flip side, if they've got a $30,000 credit card and they're at 60 or 70% utilization, that's a lot of debt to carry on something that's a revolving credit, because that's probably a really high interest rate. That would probably be more of a red flag than in this case.
Exactly.
Cool.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to move on from the credit score. The rental history search, again, we throw a quick status of the verified addresses. This is dummy information here, but you're going to get a status of verified or not on their previous addresses. So this is important. One thing I want to talk about is we don't actually call references. So one thing that anytime I'm talking with landlords about their neighborly report is we're here to provide some objective and as much objective information as possible, and then do some very thoughtful analysis on that information. We can't meet this tenant. We could have a conversation with the landlord via telephone. It may be hard to track them down, but at the end of the day, we never truly know if we're talking to the right person. We don't know how to objectify that data to make sure that you're getting the right information, because again, unless we send you an audio track on their responses, it is really hard to turn that conversation into an actual objective response. So although we're working on different strategies to do different things around landlord references, at this point in time, you're our partner in this tenant screening process. We're here to provide the objective information, but I do want to note that there is a point in time where you guys want to get involved and maybe dial the potential landlords that are going to appear on the rental application.
Yeah, I'll just riff on that there, Luke. Really, this is a complementary tool. This is an additional tool in the toolbox of being a landlord. This by no means takes the responsibility of doing your own due diligence. This should just be an extension of your due diligence that you are doing. So you still want to call those previous landlords. There's definitely techniques, and we've discussed this on other shows about how to call previous landlords. So you're not talking to a friend or a family member posing as a fake landlord, or as someone posing it as a fake employer check too. There's certain strategies you can use to greatly reduce those outcomes, and it's actually very systematic, and it's very process driven. That if you follow the simple steps, you can eliminate a lot of this risk. And Luke, what you guys are doing are just providing us more data points to ensure that we are in fact getting that story that's true from the tenant.
Absolutely. So moving down, what you're going to see is the actual application. So this, of course, is shared with you. This is the information that the tenant has filled out on the neighborly rental application. We haven't talked about the neighborly rental application, but that is what is powering the actual report, is this digital application that you will implement as part of your process to make sure that you can get all the information. You have a professional process that is equitable and fair, asks the same questions, and requires the tenants to take it seriously. So this is that information here. You can cross-reference that. You can definitely take a look at their income here, and the documents that they provide are going to be included. So we have their dummy driver's license here, a pay stub, an employment letter, all the documents that this tenant's required to provide to Neighborly via the Neighborly rental application is going to be shared. We ask for a picture of any pets that they may have. And that would be the whole document that you can file, keep on record, and give you the superpowers to make the best decision on who's the next tenant for your property.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I mean, it's a really good tool. Like I said, I've used both you guys and Single Key. You guys are the best in the industry as far as I can tell, and I've tried to use everyone out there. You create a very clean report. Plus, this is all done online. So all I do at my viewings when the tenant says, "Yeah, hey, Mackenzie, I love this place. How do I apply? Like, where's the application, or what's the next step?" I go, "Great. Joe Smith, give me your name and email and text it to me. You'll have a link to your application in your email in the next 10 minutes. I don't collect any more paperwork. I don't deal with spelling errors, printing I can't read. I get this very clean report. And the nice thing is you guys as Naborly, you've third-partied the application process from me. So the tenant goes and they go to Naborly to put all this information in. I don't have to ask for a driver's license anymore. I still do an occasion to get copies of it, but if you guys copy a clean version of it, it's like perfect. That's one less step for me to do. Plus, I don't have to enter any of this information and hope when I hit the submit button to find that credit score. Because some of the older credit checking techniques out there is you log into, I'm not going to name names, but you log into a service, you punch all the information, you hit send, you pay like 15 to 25 bucks for that click, and hopefully you haven't made a typo along the way, and then you either get a hit or you don't. So it's a little bit nicer this way that you're getting the tenant to enter their own information who actually knows it best. So less likely to make mistakes.
Absolutely. So we're going to jump in quickly related to what Mackenzie was saying is there's really 2 data points that he needs to collect, or let's be just less formal, but 2 pieces of information that you need to grab from the tenant, which is an email and a name. And I can maybe jump into that right now, show you guys the process of getting started. So what you're looking at here is the Naborly dashboard. So I've logged into my account. It's free to create. I can see that I've got 2 options here. What we went over just a moment ago is the Naborly Tenant Insights, our most popular and really what Naborly is built around. And really just enter. I mean, I'm very excited to show you guys because it's just super easy to get going. I might have to log out and then log in again.
Okay.
In a moment.
Awesome. So while you're doing that, you got 2 products. Maybe just kind of quickly highlight the differences.
Yeah, sure. So I'm back here. We have Naborly Insights we just talked about. Naborly Credit Report, a more streamlined service in some senses. It's meant for situations where you may have collected a rental application already. So you love your rental application and or you just got started with Naborly and you didn't know the process. So you already had the application, already did some income verification on your own. Now you just want the credit report. If that's the case, then the Naborly Credit Report's a great option for you. Another situation where the Naborly Credit Report's a great option, as I said, the application for Naborly Tenant Insights is digital. If a tenant isn't comfortable with computers or something like that, again, having them fill out a paper rental application may just smooth things off. But of course, you are going to be more responsible for the different parts of the process and verifying their income. And again, you're not going to get those Naborly insights that we're able to offer you on the other program. So, Naborly Tenant Insights. Simply, you got to enter your property address once you're logged in, a unit number, if necessary or applicable, a lease term and a lease amount, enter the tenant's name, tenant's email. That's my email if you guys have any questions or want to reach me. And then you're done. You can add different applicants. I've got a little piece of this. 1 second. You can add additional applicants here. So if a tenant is moving, a prospective tenant is going to be moving in with a spouse or a family member or a friend, you want to add them. You are going to want to screen them individually. Anyone who's going to be paying rent should be screened. And that's something that you want to be mindful of. You can have the tenant pay for the report, or you can pay for the report. Just want to reiterate, who pays for the report is selected here. You're not charged when you send this application. You're only charged if a tenant completes the application and we get a report to you. So there's no risk there of not getting any value. With the Naborly Credit Report, the process does not include tenants. You do have that information collected ahead of time. You enter the tenant's name, the tenant's email, their date of birth. You enter the tenant's current address, so where they live currently. You're going to pull that from the rental application you've collected. You're going to enter your rental property address. You're going to drag the file, and this file is the rental application you had filled. We need to see that. What's important on there is we need to see the consent that this tenant has agreed to have the landlord or the landlord's agent conduct a credit file check on them. Addition to that, we need to collect an ID. We want to verify here that we're pulling credit on the right individual. There can be input errors. We don't want to run into that situation and not deliver something to you guys. So you agree and understand. Again, this can be a good process for individuals, again, that don't want to be interacting with any sort of computer as a tenant. But again, I recommend the Neighborly Insights program. More excitingly than that, this is what we're going to be sharing with you guys after the show, or Mackenzie's got full range with that, but we want to announce our partnership with you guys where we're going to be offering a 20% discount on our screening, our Neighborly Insights screening. That means that you guys will pay $20 per report versus the $25 standard pricing. You're going to get the Naborly Tenant Insights, which includes this long list of verifications. I did show you a really nice example of that earlier today. But what's important here is you guys are going to visit this page, enter your email, and you're going to end up creating your account with Naborly. With that, you'll have the great discount through our partnership. So,
nice.
Is there anything to add on that, guys? Or
I want to throw up one of the questions that one of the ladies asked, so I'm going to put that on the screen for you right now. Luke, if you can read it there. It says, she absolutely loves Naborly, and they charge $25 for an application, but you just touched on that. Mm-hmm. And it says, once a tenant gave a wrong email and they had to pay. Does that make any sense to you there?
I love Naborly. Now they're charging $25. Yeah. So again, for Naborly Insights, you're not going to run into either of these variables. It's going to be $20. Once a tenant gave the wrong email, we had to pay another $25. So in that situation, you're likely using the Naborly credit reports or a more streamlined process where there is a transaction as soon as that request is made. So much like other providers of credit only, we are making that credit request. There is a cost to Naborly in doing so. So you really want to make sure that all the information you're providing is correct. Now, Guidry, if you want to reach out and kind of explain your frustration there, please email me directly and we can see if we can resolve any issue there for you.
Perfect.
Okay. And here's another question for you, Luke. Come up. There we go.
Can you guys hear me now? I've been having some issues with the show. Am I back?
Yeah, we got your back, and you're back. Yeah. It says here, Luke, somebody got okay. Do the landlords get tenants to usually pay for this and then give it back if they're approved?
I can take this one probably and maybe help Luke out here. So yeah, this really depends on the market and how many applications you're getting. If it's a little bit slower and you know the tenant kind of has the upper hand about negotiating, trying if they're going to pick you or not, you probably don't want to charge them that $20 fee or $25. Well, I guess in this case it's $20 because we got the good discount here from Luke at Naborly. But if things are really hot, you're getting a bunch of applications coming in, charge that $20. Use it as a great filter tool. You'd be surprised when someone has to pay a little bit of money down, they take that application process so much more serious. And you can easily, there's some strategies already spoken on the group if you do a little bit of searching, but you can always refund that $20 if you get first get the tenant to pay it. And then if you go and pick them for the property, you give them a refund on their first month's rent. So it's win-win. They get selected and all that good stuff. Hey, Gigi, right on. Thanks for the thumbs up and the positive comment. No, that's what this is all about, right? We want to bring the best tools in the marketplace for you guys to run the best landlord business possible. It's as simple as that. Naborly is definitely up there. Single key. We're working some other things. These are the tools that get the job best done in the best way. And also, we've had discussions before on this page too of why grabbing these credit reports are important, but they're also a really good way to protect yourself should something go sideways in the future. You've got a really good list of information on this person should you have to go after them in collections or something like that. So it's a good way to build a good foundation to set yourself up for success in the future.
I'd just like to say too that, and I think Luke can back this too. It says if you're using the tools that we're setting up for you, you now have Naborly, you have Single Key, you have the Landlord Credit Bureau, you have our court agents. We have quite the package and quite the group we put together. If you are running a business, and that's how you have to look at this, you're not running a charity, you need to be able to understand that spending $20 to keep your business running is nothing. That is $1 something a month out of your rent when you do the math on it. So, so spending this $20 is really, it's a cost of doing business. And what's the cost of your business when you're down a month or two because you picked the wrong person? So definitely. You can also do the math on that.
And I would challenge there too. It's not only reducing the delinquency and the risk, which Naborly has proven to do, but what's your time worth just doing this? So you simply send a rental application to a tenant, and then voila, you have a Naborly report, which has their income documents. There's no back and forth between that and the tenant. That's operational efficiency. And so that's something that, you know, we didn't touch on easily, but you saw from the process of getting that Naborly application sent, it's going to save you time and headaches.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. That online application, it's phenomenal. I don't even mess with it. I love that. I mean, I'm kind of a techie, kind of IT kind of guy, so I love anything that I can make digital, and less paper I touch, the less rashes I get. I don't like paperwork, so it's good. It's very smooth. So awesome, Luke. We're gonna kind of probably segue into the next part of the show, unless there's anything else you want to add in before we segue. And of course, you're more than welcome to stick around and talk a little shop talk with us as we answer some questions on our page.
Well, I just want to say thank you. I'm so glad to be here. My email is luc.chase, CHASE @naborly.com. There it is. And so please contact with any questions. I'm more than happy to help, whether you're an existing customer or not. I want to make sure that this was all well taken. If there's anything that you guys need to know more about, let me know. Otherwise, I can let you guys kind of create the panel for the shop talk. I'm going to be viewing it and look forward to seeing what you guys chat about.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Luke. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Luke. I appreciate you coming by.
All right. Take care.
Okay. All right. So I got some questions here, Chris. We announced, so we got a few questions we lined up in the comments, and you've got two things you want to talk about. I've got one. We've got your eviction update in Ponoka. We have a phenomenal post that we have to definitely highlight and give kudos. I think it was Jay, if I'm recalling the name correct, that did the post. I know you've got at your fingertips there, I think, Chris. We're talking about abandoned vehicles on your property and how to deal with them. And I'm going to touch base quickly on what kind of value or what you can charge for repairs at RTDRS and the provincial court. So we're into those three questions. And then, folks, if you've got questions on the live show right now, queue them up, start throwing them in our comments. We got lots of activity there right now. First in, first come, serve. We'll answer all your questions live for sure on the show because you're actually with us right now. Let's give you guys the best value. So.
Excellent. So you guys start banging up your questions and we'll put us in the hot seat, see what we can do for you. If we can't answer it, we will be finding out for you. So
that's right.
Which one do you want to hit first, Mac?
Let's
do that abandoned vehicle. That's quick, short, and easy, and really tidy and clean. So
okay. Well, since you're the retired law enforcement officer, I'm gonna let you roll with that. I'm just gonna be and I will follow up on you.
So basically, my response to that was, if you can try and find it while we're flipping through here, because I
tough job. Okay.
Yeah. So it's I forget where we've had it at, but it wasn't too far back. But anyway, my response to that was, take the serial number, contact the law enforcement, and talk to them about it. So I just naturally, and I, how that word comes, assume that, when you do that, the next step is, the police will do what they're supposed to do. under the Highway Traffic Act, and one of the members pointed out and actually quoted the act, and Mac will find it here in a second and we'll let you have it. Any vehicles that are abandoned on private or public land can be removed. But what you do is, the reason you contact the police is, one, they want to find out if it's stolen. Two is if it is stolen or it was purchased, or there was some deal where the other owner, that's still there's always a registered owner to it, whether it's been re-registered or not. The bill of sale will trump whatever the last registration is. But if that's never been re-registered, it always falls back on the previous owner. Sometimes those people will want to know, hey, yeah, I want my car back. The guy never paid me for it. I let him take it, never heard from him again. So yeah, will the police contact and give him back? Absolutely, because they're going to check out, say, hey, your vehicle's here. So let me know when you find it, Mac.
I found it right now, and I'm actually going to screen share it. So we're getting a little bit smarter at this, I think.
Awesome.
So here it is. So Rose asked the question. We got lots of comments on it, and it reached about 1,000 of our members. But we can dive into it right here. Sorry, guys.
So as you can see, Rose asked the question further down in the comments. One of the members, can you find his comment there?
Anthony. Sorry,
Anthony. There it goes, Anthony. And I, you know what? I'm going to put my other old hat on it, and I pretty much can guarantee you, with a response like that, Anthony's got some law enforcement background. And good for you, Anthony, for putting that up there like that. That's exactly what I want from people. What Mac and I want, and what everybody kind of wants, is show me what supports your advice. And you know what? I following my own rules, I didn't put that up there, but it's because I knew the answer. But Anthony put that up there, and you know what? Thank you. That's what we want. As soon as you start a question off with, I think it should be, or I think it's this, or it should be that, that's when your credibility and what you're saying is in question. So go after those facts, put it up. Not only do you validate your reply, but you also educate other people. And that's the basis of our page, is let's educate each other, let's support each other, and boom, here it is right here, black and white, under the Highway Traffic Safety Act, section, I can't see it, it's small.
It's 76, subsection 1, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and you read through, and go and read it. If you got abandoned vehicles, go read that, and you already know. So if somebody's telling you from a law enforcement, well, no, there's not really anything you can do, you go, Section 76 says la la da da da, and they go, oh, and all of a sudden you've got a little more street cred backing you over someone who doesn't take the time to understand what's going on. So, and
I want to add to this, Chris, too. So of course we're talking to folks across Alberta. You're in small town Ponoka. I'm in larger city Calgary. There's rural folks as well, right? In all the different counties. This is a law enforcement issue, correct, Chris? It's not, I mean, parking could possibly help if you have that option in a city environment, but not everyone has that. So it has to fall back to, we're talking RCMP, city police, that type of nature, right?
Right. But you guys in Calgary, your parking authorities have a little bit more authority. So they have a peace officer status, and peace officers are under their authority, given the authority to, what am I trying to say? To act upon the act, to help you out.
To enforce the law.
To enforce the laws and the provincial statutes. So your peace officers or your parking authorities, they have that status. It doesn't actually have to be a yellow stripe or a red stripe coming at you. It can be these other guys too.
Totally. So I believe the gal Rose, when she had posted here, she did go to law enforcement and she got brushed off. So Chris, with your experience being a retired RCMP officer, how would you approach that situation if someone who's not really familiar with the law or with how police operate, and she's being told no, but we know right now she's read this and she knows that it's part of this act that's supposed to be enforced by the police? How would you go back to them? I
would go back to them and say, well, could you explain to me how section whatever doesn't apply based on what you're saying? And I think you're going to get the long, awkward pause. And I put that out there that way is because when we've had these situations where the tenants have changed the locks, and we can't get a key, that's a perfect example. Under the Residential Tenancy Act, it's actually a fine. It's a ticket. The policeman can come and write a ticket. Here's your ticket. Guess what? That dollar key that the tenant has is a lot cheaper to hand to you than it is to pay the $300 ticket.
Yeah.
But what happens is law enforcement doesn't know. They say, well, that's a civil issue. No, it's not. It's a provincial statute issue, and they can deal with it. Now, a lot of times they'll tell you it goes to Service Canada, but Service Canada is not going to come. The police have the authority to enforce all provincial statutes and federal statutes in this province. And so that's why you, being an educated landlord, when you call, know what you're talking about, or put the question to the page, get the answers, then call the police. If you don't, get educated before you make the call, because you're going to get baffled with bullshit, and you're going to be brushed off, and you're going to be writing on there, oh, I called the police and they said it's civil. Then the page lights up in a flurry of comments. No, it's not civil, and this is why. And you go, oh, and you have to go back and start over.
So the power tip I'm hearing from you, Chris, is understand the perspective of where a lot of these law enforcement, especially probably more so on the RCMP side of the business, where these folks have to enforce a ton of different acts and laws, right? There's a wealth of information, and there's so much knowledge or so much volume in laws they have to know. They're not going to have everything memorized. They just simply can't. We're all human. So the power tip here and the onus is, you know the law better than the police officer. You just politely ask him, are you sure this is not part of it? Can you explain to me what this bylaw means then? And you explain the one that's perfectly fit in the situation. They go, oh, you know what? We can probably send an officer on later today, and we'll have that looked at for you.
Right. And just for clarity, it's just a slip of the tongue there, but they're not actually a bylaw. It's a provincial statute. So you have your bylaws, which are written by your towns. You have your provincial statutes as written by the province, and you have your federal statutes that are written by the Canadian government, right? So those are all different levels and all enforceable by the police officers of the province. So now, a peace officer, the little guys running around with the gray stripes and the little car that says peace officers, their authorities are only given to them. There's a piece of paper saying only things that they can enforce under provincial statutes. So some of their authorities are very limited as to what they can do, and sometimes their knowledge is very limited as to what they can do. So you being educated makes it easy. It makes it easier for you to get the job done.
Love it. Okay.
Boom.
Topic number 2. Or do you want to take a live question? I think we got.
Let's do live because we don't want to leave people out.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, look, we just throw this up quick here because we have our Anthony Joe watching. Good for him. I want to meet this guy. I want to meet this. I'm going to end up contacting you, Anthony, to find out if I'm right about who I think you are. So he says you can also call a tow truck company as a private citizen to have it removed from your property. So there you go. Just
Here's
as what's that?
Here's a question on that. That makes sense to me, but then who does the bill? So
what happens there? I know where you're going with that. That to have it removed, it comes under the my words are slipping me here. Abandoned vehicles in Alberta. So the last registered owner has to pay for the disposal of that vehicle, and the tow company has all the paperwork to do that. As soon as they get it in, boom, they're going to be checking, doing all that paperwork because they want to get paid. And then the last owner will, if they can't find him, it'll go against their driver's license or their and they'll have to pay. But this is why you call the police, so they can do some checking to see if it is stolen, because you don't know, some of these tenants and some things, sometimes the stuff that's left on properties just baffles you.
Yeah,
so.
Totally. Okay, cool. And Anthony made another little tidbit there too. Is in these cases, it goes to the registered owner who pays the bill. It's the last registered owner. So.
Well, the bill will go there until they can sort it out. And this is why another pro tip on the sidebar is, if you sell a car, find a place to file that bill of sale and keep it for the next 10 years. Because when they come to give you the bill for that, you better have a bill for the storage and the disposal of it. You better have that bill of sale showing who you sold it to. So otherwise you're paying. So.
Oh, good to know. Perfect. Okay, awesome. All right, let's throw up this. I heard there's a wild story going on in this place called Pinoco, Alberta. Someone's being evicted. Someone's a part of this eviction. Chris, what's the latest on your eviction that you've been dealing with? Okay,
so you threw that picture up there. So I just discreetly kind of blanked out some faces, but we had this super guy come in. He's the bailiff. top-notch guy, very professional. Loved what I saw, the way he handled it. We didn't have a police enforcement clause in this particular eviction, but what happened was the tenant got a little bit too aggressive and hands-on to the bailiff, and that's all he needed, because once the hands are on, it's a degree of violence or assault, and at that point, these gentlemen right here in the yellow stripe were called, and they gave her an ultimatum, and the ultimatum was simply get out or get arrested. Either way, you're leaving. So she chose to go with the lesser of two evils for her, and she chose to leave. Now, we've been dealing with this lady for the last 3 months. I have to give the landlord, a little bit of compassion here, is that the landlord truly has a wonderful heart and is a wonderful person. However, and she tried, to work through it, get the person out. They kept making, okay, I'll leave next week. Yeah, okay, no, I just need a little more time. I just, how that goes.
Yeah.
If we cut to the chase, the bills aren't being paid, move forward. She didn't want to have to pay the fees to get her out. But now 3 months deep into this, realizing that I am going to have to pay, well, we could have had either another renter in or the place sold that much quicker had we just acted upon this on day one. So this is the second time this person has been evicted from that property. So right away you're going, oh my God, are you serious? Well, what happened was the original renter and her were there, her male partner. Mm-hmm. They left, but the guy needed a place. He called the landlord back and he said, okay, yeah, well, we'll let you back in, but this person can't come in. And that was fine. That was the deal. He was making his payments. Everything is good. But given this person's personality, she ended up getting back into the house. He then lost his job, the whole COVID thing. Sorry, Matt.
So is this the same property then? So, because you evicted the same gal from the same property in the span of a month?
The span of a year, yeah.
Oh, of a year.
Yeah. But the first time I wasn't involved in this, the landlord used a lawyer, and that whole process was very expensive. Lawyers are $300 to $500 an hour. Okay. Yeah. If you start to use some of the agents that are involved in the eviction process that are part of our page, you're going to get them out for under $1,000. So anyway, we are involved the second time now, and she is not on the lease. She's not part of it, but the guy that was there let her back in out of compassion for her and said, okay, I'll give you a place for a little while. He gets evicted because he loses his job to do with COVID. Boom, out he goes, and he finally leaves. She refuses to leave. So she's not on a lease, she's basically squatting. But because the landlord had ideas that she was there, then you know what? They become kind of the tenant under that umbrella. It's a mess is what it is. So the easiest way to do it is get in there, get the eviction notice, to which we did. Rob Bonin, he took care of it. He's out of Red Deer. Rob's awesome. He nailed this thing, got it into court, got the documents served, and the bailiff was lined up for Saturday morning. And just as a side note here, our bailiffs that we're using, Mac and I are going to be talking to them this week or the beginning of next. And our bailiffs are becoming online as another partner to offer some services for our group as well. And just like
some pretty cool conversations when I get them on our show. Yeah, I don't know really anything about that world, so maybe Chris will probably drive that conversation a bit more. I'll ask my newbie questions because I'll probably represent a large percentage of the folks out there that I've never dealt with a bailiff, so I would love to really understand that. So and
this was a great experience for me because I've never had to deal with a bailiff, but I understand the process of law. Yeah. But what I did was I relied on this young fella's a skill set and abilities, and he was great. And I also talked to the owner. He was great, very caring, compassionate people, and they care about you as a landlord for your business. And the police officers that came, we had our ducks in a row. We had the paperwork, we had everything. They looked at it, and even the bailiff took the time to explain to the police officer, because what we had is our community here, we've had a change of personnel. So we've got some younger members here. They're great guys, but it's like anything. You go to your new job, you don't know everything. So when we show it, but they understand law. When the law says A, B, C will happen, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So that's why you need to know what you're doing. because sometimes you have to help the authorities who are going to help you understand what they're doing. And it just makes everybody's credibility that much stronger. So.
And another shout out to one of our eviction specialists. It's Don Gray. He's up in Edmonton and a little bit northern. So, hey, Don, as always, thanks for tuning in with us tonight.
Yeah, Don's a great guy. Don's been on a show a couple times, and he's quite the character. I love chatting with him. Had a little sidebar conversation with him about some other stuff today, and he's full of laughs. I highly recommend Don and our guys involved. So
we probably need to get Don and Rob and all them back on the show one more time. We're talking about, maybe folks comment if this is going to be of interest. If you guys want like an eviction focused conversation, maybe once a month, I don't know what the right frequency is, but something where we can just kind of get the latest goings on. What is going on in the RT, DRS, the provincial courts? Are they backed up? Are they moving? Hey, this is the latest pro tip if you have to go down that route. And that's actually a really good segue for the topic I want to bring up as well, Chris.
Yeah. I will tell you too that if you're having to go to the RTDRS for a hearing and you're not comfortable going in, or you're not sure if you got things right, I encourage you to go to Rob or Don or Conrad or Dean, one of the four of our guys. And you know what? If you've filed everything and you've got it all in there, maybe you want them to speak for you, and they'll speak for you at the thing. They don't have to do all the legwork and all the filing. So chat them up. Say, hey, look, if I get this all done, will you speak on my behalf? Yeah, they will. I know they will. And it'll be done at a discounted rate.
A reasonable price, yeah.
Yeah, because you've served the papers, you've done everything. All you have to do is have somebody take 20 minutes and speak for you. You know what? If it's worth $200 or $250, whatever they're going to charge, I'm just guessing. I'm sure because I'd beat them up over the price because that's me. But they're great guys, and sometimes just spending that money to have somebody speak for you and make sure your paperwork's in order is invaluable.
Yeah, totally. And if you do want to be involved and you go down the whole route, post the questions to this group. You've got lots of landlords in this group have been through the eviction process. We all take our lessons learned, and we're going to impart that information and the knowledge and the experiences to set yourself up for success going through that eviction process. I mean, Bill Bico, for example, right, Chris? We've had a Bill Bico on the show tons. Very well versed individual here in the Calgary area, and he's got the Educated Landlord website plus the Alberta evictions, and there's so much information out there. So the last point I wanted to segue is we can probably wrap up our show as we are past 8:00, is talking about how much can I claim? What value can I claim for repairs when I go to RTDRS? No, RDTRS. I'm all, oh my God.
Go to that place. Yeah.
Yeah. Or provincial courts. So what's really important here, I was talking to a few really experienced landlords and they're sharing some awesome wisdom. So I'm going to pass it on to you guys. So let's take the example. You've got damages. You're in front of the court there. You're doing your claim with the arbitrator or judge, and let's say you are claiming for damage off of the damage deposit. You're taking funds. In the case, let's say we have carpet, and let's say it's had. I'm just going to throw arbitrary numbers just to make the case an example and point. Let's say the carpet has an average life span of 20 years. And the carpet is about 15 years old. You go in and you claim for damages, and let's just say for an easy numbers, the carpet's worth $400 for replacement. If you go in and you're asking for $400 to put brand new carpet in, and the judge or the arbitrator is going to ask you, well, how old's that carpet? Well, it's about 15 years old. Okay, and what's your average life expectancy? It should be about 20. And again, you need to go find the documentation from the manufacturer, of course, because there'll be different products with different lifespans out there. It's not just all kind of uniform. But if it's already 75% old, your only claim value that the arbitrator is going to actually probably award you is $100. You're not going to get all 400. So this is super important. If you guys are going on a move out inspection, you got to weigh the pros and cons and how much time you want to put in, go down this legal route. If maybe it's only for a couple $100 as opposed to a couple $1,000. So just that kind of tidbit, because you won't get full value. You won't get replaced at new. You get made back to as you were before the incident happened. So if you've got older wares in your property, flooring, I don't know, baseboards, dishwasher, whatever, and you're trying to get brand new replacement, you're trying to go after a damage deposit for that, you're only going to get replaced at what you were before, right? So I don't know, Chris, you want to add on that? I'm kind of
no, 100% on that. I'm just going to grab a couple quick questions. I know we had our Naborly had our first half, but I know we're going to go a tad over. And you know what a stickler I am to time and keeping everybody's attention span.
You tell me. I see. So Chris, just so folks know, I get Chris pinging me and my other chat over here saying, Mac, hurry up, we're over. People aren't going to pay attention anymore. And now, it's 8:05 p.m. It's October 28th, and Chris on record is going past the hour.
I see we have 22 viewers, and I want to hit a couple questions off the page. So, quit wasting my time, buddy. Okay, so we had Susan earlier today who is struggling with an up and down. She has a basement and an upstairs, and she said someone was supposed to be checking on the upstairs tenant. That tenant has some health issues and is not in the house. She goes and checks on the house or she has to deal with some issues in the basement. And going in, she finds the fridge open, the freezer open, and a whole bunch of food is spoiled so badly that the packages have begun to swell because of the bacteria, and they're ready to pop. So, well, you can imagine with something that has rotted for a while what that's like. So her question was, is that my responsibility? No, it's not. Here's the biggest thing is when your property, and this came up on another one today, but if your property tenant is away, one is they got to have somebody checking on it, but two, your lease should say something in there that says, if you're away, you must notify the landlord that if you're going to be away for an extended period of time, so that you as the landlord can go in and check on your property every 3 or 4 days. Because guess what? Your insurance requires that. Your house insurance, your personal residence requires that the place is checked on. You can't just walk away from it and come back in 2 weeks and thinks everything is going to be working. So, so I go back to this is nobody's checking on it. He didn't or she didn't arrange for that. That fridge door opened up for whatever reason. Maybe the last person who was checking on it, because I think there was somebody in and out, looked for whatever reason and closed but didn't close it properly. You don't know how that happened. And leaving that door open, I tell you, that fridge is going to be working triple time trying to catch up and freeze everything. So the fridge if the fridge isn't working, go to court and say that it's your fault. Not going to happen because the door is open and the fridge is working overtime. The fridge just could have burned out because of it. Yeah. So get in there. The person isn't in the house anymore because of medical, but will be coming back apparently. Clean all that stuff out. It's a health issue for your person, your downstairs tenant. Everything's floating around that house. The house is going to stink. Get it cleaned up. There were other issues there about how the cleanliness of the house was. Give your tenant your expectations. If it's not working, then you know what? It might be time to end the relationship. So I want to put that out there right away.
Documentation, emails, pictures, collect all of that. Get it sent out to the tenant as well, for sure.
100%.
So do we...
marijuana. Quickly, we'll touch on that one. Remember we talked about that one, the marijuana girl?
Oh, yeah. That was
Karen Scott.
Right?
She put out there that she went to a house and she posted some pictures finding marijuana growing in the house. So under the acts, you have the right to say no. Make sure that's in your lease, that you will not cultivate marijuana on the property, smoke it or otherwise. The high moisture requirements, you know what? If you have a place and you're paying the utilities, do you know what kind of power they need for those lights to get those things to grow? Those meters are going to be spinning like this. Guess how back in the day we used to find out that places had marijuana grows? Is because guess what?
I knew this. There's never snow on the roof, so the Hawks helicopter, I know in Calgary, would fly over, and they'd see these houses lit up like pumpkins, and then there'd be no snow on the roof at all because all the heat they're generating, trying to keep these grow ups going.
If you don't think that the police have connections with power company people to report high usage and unusually high usage, the bad guys know this. They know that. So that's why meters get bypassed. So if you got a high usage, guess what you, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, guess what you're paying for? You're paying for his dope habit because somebody's got to pay for that light to be on to grow that plant. So you don't want that stuff in your house. And the smell is something else. So
not moisture too, right? I mean, we all know that. I mean, grow ups are like
So the question now was, there was a plant or two there, and they were about 3 feet high. Well, legally, you're allowed to grow 4 plants. However, there were 20 little seedlings, clippings ready to go on the other side. It now becomes an illegal operation. So you need to contact the police and advise them. So she did. The police say to her, "Oh, well, he said he had a permit." I'm sorry, but if you have a driver's license, or sorry, you have a car, you're on the road, and it's not insured, and you say to the policeman, "Well, yeah, the insurance is in the mail." Do you think your car is going to get towed and you're going to get a ticket? I'm thinking so, because you have to produce it at the time. Those guys have these, allegedly have these permits. It still has to be produced. And at the end of the day, it's illegal until there's some kind of permit in place. So you need to push the issue. There's somebody doing an illegal activity in your property, and the garage was being set up to receive all these seedlings. So the whole garage was going to be set up as a whole big, huge grow up. I talked to Karen personally about this, and it was going to be a serious nightmare. So she handed out an eviction notice, and hopefully she gets this cleaned up. So
yeah, keep us posted, Karen, as you make through that. We'd like to know how that goes. Yeah,
please, Karen, please do that. So if you can tag her in this somehow, Max, so she knows that we're talking about her. So
hey, by the way, you're on the show. Yeah, for sure. Shelly Rogers threw a comment here at the end. Can we claim sprinkler irrigation repairs? I would say this is probably due with a property that has underground sprinklers for the lawn. I would say absolutely. Chris, if you want to kind of riff on that one.
Well, it's kind of open. Claim it as in claim it against expenses on the property, or claim it because they damaged it.
So we'll answer. Clarify.
Yeah. Well, we'll just answer both. Of course, if it's part of your property, it has to be maintained. Absolutely, you can claim it as an expense. If you can show that the tenant damaged it, and the damage was out of neglect, then absolutely you can claim it against the. But again,
you want to have clear wording in your lease too. If you should be, if you've got different properties, you should be, because there's always nuances to each property. So in this case, Shelly's got a property with irrigation in the lawn. You're going to want to add a clause or a term to say, the tenant is absolutely responsible for the maintenance, winterization, whatever the nuances of what you want your property to be looked after in that certain way. So that would be the other thing too. She's talking damages. So she just got back to us.
So the other thing too, though, is I know irrigations, I've had them, been involved with them before, but if the ground eventually, as grass settles and things happen, sometimes these heads start to come towards the surface a little bit, and you might clip them with a lawnmower or something. So I think there has to be a degree of responsibility to the landlord to go and check these things to make sure they're not going to become a problem. You can't expect the tenant to know everything. You get tenants who can't even close fridge doors. How can you expect them to look after a irrigation sometimes? So I'd be on top of that pretty tight as part of my inspection process. Every 3 months, checking your sprinkler heads, seeing where they're at, and even like you mentioned, Mac, about cleaning them out and blowing them out. I would go as far as saying that you should be budgeting that into your lease, your monthly leasing, that you blow them out, because as a tenant, honestly, I wouldn't give a crap. And if you tell me I have to pay it out, I'll tell you, well, make sure it's not usable, because I ain't watering your lawn, because I don't want to mow it. So you have to get that all figured out with the tenant. And I would be responsible as the landlord to make sure that's blown out if it's been used. I wouldn't leave it up to them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Totally. If you've got a high cost items, it's almost better to take that responsibility away from the tenant, right? Kind of make it foolproof. So, and
Shelly, since you're online with us here tonight, I also want to say that you've got some serious stuff going on in Chestermere with, and Rob's helping you out with it. And I know that Rob's done an amazing job and took on a major law firm. And honestly, I heard the story, and
I did hear about this. This is okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And Rob made the lawyers involved in the case look silly, because this is what it comes down to: hiring somebody who knows what they're doing. Just because you're paying a lawyer $500 an hour doesn't mean they know it. It's like we talked about the policeman having to know all the different statutes. Well, A lawyer's the same thing. They don't understand the process. And Rob even asked in the hearing, "Have you ever done one of these before?" And the lawyer was one of the senior partners, got their back up a little bit and admitted no. Well, it was a schooling for the lawyer by Rob, who is non-lawyer, but he's very well read. And
well, he knows
he knows the business.
Focuses on tenant landlord issues, and he knows that process very, very well. So,
and that goes right back to what we're telling you guys. Know your business, know what we're talking about, know the statutes. That way you can call out the people who think or want to tell you they know the business when they don't actually do.
And keep tuning into the show, because we'll keep sharing these tips as we come and discover them. I mean, that's the funnest part, Chris, and you know how you have on the show is just learning all these pro tips from all these different landlords. Every time I do the show, every week, or man, every couple of days, I'm learning something new in this page. There's a wealth of information. So keep tuning in, and we're busy working, bringing more value add tools and partnerships to make your guys' job easier, because this is one of the most challenging but rewarding businesses and industries to be in, being a landlord. You know, you take a huge financial risk over here, and you're also managing this, big personal relationship side, the customer service side of providing someone a home that they expect to be in a certain way, right? So you hire large capital up front, you're balancing this kind of balancing act, and it's a tough job. So yeah, it's cool. I really enjoy seeing people succeed in the show and the Facebook group. It's a lot of fun. It really is.
Well, we're going to wind it up here, I'm sure. But Shelley, I do want to say, can you please keep us appraised of that? Because I know you're in a 5-figure civil situation there, and Rob's helping you out. So please do keep us up to date how that goes. And I encourage you to document on the page, and Rob as well. So I am following closely behind the scenes, and we'll bring people up to speed as it goes.
Cool.
So there you go, Mac. You know what? I saw your post earlier, just to finish on light mode. You need your tap changed on your toilet. My little techie friend, I'm coming down for beers, and I'm doing it for you, because I know your plumber's going to charge you $160 to do it. I'm going to charge you a couple beers.
Well, let's talk about it after the show. I got my
okay.
Okay. All right,
okay,
folks.
bud.
Have a great night. Thank you for spending time with us again. We always have fun. This is the only show dedicated to landlording in Alberta, the Alberta Landlord Talk Shop Show. See you next week.